I'm joined today by Payton Otterdahl, American shot putter, 2 times inside the top 5 men in the world at the Paris Olympics and the Budapest World Championships in 2023. Payton, it's early November, so we're kind of deep in the dredges of the offseason, but things are starting to pick up a little bit. About a month and a half removed now from the end of the track season for you guys. So how are you feeling right now?
Feeling good. Looking forward to ramp up training. Compared to a lot of my peers, I appear to be a little behind the ball a little bit in terms of getting training. Today was the first day I had the throwing shoes laced up, so getting back into doing shot put specific movements. I've been lifting for about 3 weeks now, so I always tend to try to get a little bit of a strength base back before I bring in the throwing again, just not to overload too much at once by trying to do both. But we're underway.
Yeah, well, I know kind of a big part of the ending stages of your season was unfortunately an elbow injury that kind of affected the way your world championships went. I guess if you're starting to inch your way towards back to throwing, been back in the gym a little bit, how's the elbow been feeling?
It's been good. Haven't had too many issues yet, especially not with benching or any other movements in the weight room. I guess we'll find out how it is once I throw. But today, with the first set of drills and doing a little bit of med ball throwing, it was totally fine. So I'm hoping that that kind of keeps. I was able to do a little bit of rehab for it in the off season. I'm hoping that that ends up helping, and I don't mess up my elbow any further. I'm feeling pretty confident that I'll be all right, though.
Yeah, that's good to hear because I mean we've just seen with Ryan just how kind of persistent and nagging those elbow injuries can be. So it's good to hear that you feel like you're on kind of the come up from that. I guess the start to your off season, you've been you're pretty open on social media. So there was it looked like a really long time where you were kind of just going all over, doing a bunch of things. I assume that was kind of your rest period at the end of the season. Were you trying to like fit in any like lifting into those 3 weeks when I think it was 4,000 miles, I think you said, or like, were you trying it all to manage training during that or?
Not too much. So when I kind of spent the first week of the off season staying in Tokyo and just purely vacationing, no track at all for that. And then I think I got about a week and a half at home. Again, no training, just relaxing, spending time with my dog. And then I had to go on a 3 week road trip where I kind of got a lot of things done. Um, I my brother got married in Colorado Springs in Denver. And I went down to Colorado Springs early to get some treatment done for my elbow and my oblique. That was another injury that happened actually before I hurt my elbow,
Mm.
before Paris. That was the first thing that happened. And then the elbow came shortly after. It's just, you can't really see that the oblique was injured, but you could see all the elbow or the
Yeah.
tape on my elbow. But so I got some treatment on there. Luckily, the elbow ended up being pretty good overall. The MRI said that I don't have any tendonitis, very, very limited amounts of arthritis. What they did find is that there's a small, it's not like a tumor or anything, but it's a small mass of tissue that is impinging the elbow. So for whatever reason, it got really angry right before Worlds. And as I was trying to throw with it, it would get more and more mad, swell up
Hmm.
even further, and it was really limiting my range of motion in my elbow. And if I tried to, straighten my arm, it would give me quite a lot of pain. Um, and that has from the time between when I got the MRI and when I competed at Worlds, the swelling had gone down quite a lot, and they were able to give me a injection in there to try to take care of all the swelling and make sure that it's gone by the time I start training again. But otherwise, they said the elbow looked great, so I'm feeling pretty confident that I'll feel good going forward in my training. So I was able to do that. Brother got married in Colorado. Brother had a second reception back in our home state of Minnesota. So we drove from Colorado to there, made a little pit stop in the Black Hills in South Dakota, and went to the couple national parks that are there. Um, had the other reception in Minnesota. We went up to my family's got a couple cabins in northern Minnesota, one on Lake Superior and one just outside Duluth. So we spent only about 4 days up there, 5 days, I can't remember. And then we went down to Dubuque, Iowa, where my wife is from. Her grandfather was being honored in their local high school Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
So we went to the ceremonies for that. And then we finally got to be home. So yeah, it was 3 weeks to the day and 4,000 miles put on my car. So no
Yeah.
working out during all of that time, just experiencing all of the Midwest apparently.
Yeah, I mean it sounds like far from kind of the restful down period that a lot of people wouldn't like to take after a long track season, but it sounds like it was fulfilling in other ways.
Definitely. It's kind of tough because, we spend this whole year traveling for track. So it feels like we're always on the road. But the off season, once we do get in the swing of training, we don't really travel much. We stay put, we train hard. And so it seems like the off season is really the only time we can make up and do that training that we don't normally get to do. And, just coming off of the season where I was on the road for so long, I could not wait to be home and just do nothing. So I'm very glad that now I don't have to go anywhere till Christmas.
Yeah, and now this kind of early season or late off season, whatever you want to call it, type of training you're in right now, where you're just about to start throwing again. But I've seen on your Instagram, you were like doing like kind of stadiums in the basketball arena. Like, what does your training look like before you guys do start throwing again?
Right now, I'm trying to get back into shape. So I'm trying to do a little bit more cardio than I normally would. So those stadium sprints, I've been swimming on my off days that I'm not lifting. And I've been doing bike sprints and a lot more jumping right now, trying to just become a little bit better of an athlete. Even one of the days I went into the gymnastics room at Nebraska and just did a bunch of stuff in there, tumbling uneven bars, handstands, just trying to become overall a little bit better of an athlete. That's not my typical off season, pre-throwing stuff, but I'm trying to make it that this year because I would kind of like to be a little bit better of an athlete. I feel like over the last few years, or at least since college, I've become a better shot putter, but through injuries and whatnot, I feel like I've become less of an athlete. So I'd like to get better or get back to kind of how I was in college, where I was more athletic. I was a little bit smaller back then, but I'm still trying to, stay as big as I can or at a good weight. For me, that's about 305. I'm not close to that right now. I'm way under, so I need to put on some mass. But just be a little bit more athletic, and that'll transition to the ring a little bit better, I think.
When you're doing these gymnastics things the other day, are you trying to emulate that one video of Joe on the high bar from a couple years ago where he's just doing like 10 rotations in a row? And I just don't know how that much momentum ever gets stopped, but
I stayed away from the high bars. Uh, those ones are a little bit too scary for me, so I was doing a
that's
lot of the
fair.
other stuff in there.
What's been, I guess, your favorite like thing you've done to get more athletic in the last couple weeks?
Favorite? Hard to tell, because a lot of it isn't very fun, at least right
Yeah.
now. It's a lot of cardio. I do, little fun fact about me, I do really love swimming. It's like one of my favorite things to do. If I'm in a cool place, if I'm on vacation, I love to swim, whether that's creeks, rivers, the ocean, pools, whatever. So I do enjoy getting into the water and just kind of feeling that weightlessness and getting some cardio in that way. It's tough, but it's fun.
Did you watch any of the swimming last year in Paris? Because that was like the week before track started, right?
Yeah, it's kind of sad to say, but no, I haven't really watched too many of the other Olympic events.
Hmm.
Because while I was there, I was totally, focused on
Yeah.
our own competitions and, paying attention to track because that's our world. But as far as other sports go, really the only ones that I paid attention to a little more are some of the friends that I made in the village or at the training center from Team USA. So got to meet a lot of the women's volleyball players and some of the men's volleyball players too. So I was paying attention a lot to volleyball and as well as oh gosh, totally blanking right now on the name of the sport, fencing. Yeah, that's
Mm.
it. Because I got to talk to a lot of fencers and they taught me all the rules and the three different styles of fencing. So I was paying big attention to that. But other than those people that I talked to, I wasn't really paying too much attention to a lot of the other sports. Unfortunately, that included swimming.
Yeah, no, I also got like deep in that fencing rabbit hole waiting for track to start last year. Um, and I mean, it helped that we had like a really good Olympics in fencing, but I was sitting there, I didn't know what was going on. I don't actually know what quantifies like getting a point or not, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And it was way more interesting to watch when you do know the rules. Because I had to ask them, like, how do you score points? Like, I know you
Yeah.
want first touch wins, but there's got to be more than that. And they filled me in on all of that. Made it more fun.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I guess we'll get into a little bit of actual throwing now, and we'll talk about this 2025 season that was wrapped up this year. It was a pretty good season for you, multiple times over 22, picked up a Diamond League win or two, made another US team. I guess now that we're a month and a half to 2 months removed from it, like what are your main takeaways from your 2025 season?
It was a pretty decent season. Obviously, it ended with a sour taste in the mouth with injury and stuff, but, kind of ignoring how it finished, the season was not too bad. I think that I threw a little bit worse overall than the 2024 season. I had more meets and more throws over 22 meters and set a PB in 2024. So that was a little bit disappointing in that I didn't compete, I think, to my ability. Um, in training, I set PBs last season in every single ball that I threw. So I was definitely ready to throw far in meets. I should have been able to, throw an all-time PB when I was throwing all these training PBs, but unfortunately, just in the meets, wasn't executing like I should have, or as I would like to. So I would say overall, though, it was my second best season ever. So I shouldn't complain too much, but I'm just a competitor, so I'm always striving to be better and trying to learn a little bit on why it might not have gone the way I wanted to. I think a lot of times when I got to the meets, I'd be trying a little bit too hard, be maybe a little bit too antsy to try to go for a home run instead of properly set up with the technique. So those are just some takeaways that I can have going into the 2026 season.
Was there, I guess, one like specific cue or part of the throw for you that you felt like you were nailing in training more than you had in years past, but it just wasn't necessarily translating to the meets?
I would say it was probably my patience in the front of the ring. I think I was just way too punchy this year, too quick to go to the hand. So setting it up and taking my time and getting way out over the toe board and getting big separation between the hip. It really felt like most of my problems were happening in the finish. Even looking at the setup on a lot of them, I thought looked pretty fine after the competition. But and I could even often feel like a lot of throwers know if you don't feel the connection off the hand, like the throw probably isn't going anywhere. And I had a lot of meets that was the case. So it's frustrating, but hopefully we'll be able to learn a little bit from it.
Yeah, I guess like what part of the season did those training PBs start to come for you? Because obviously a big storyline in 2025 was just how late the world championships were. And if there was an aspect of being like more patient in training, I feel like we saw that with a lot of guys because I think wasn't until like the second week of June where we saw anyone throw 22. Which is it's still a really far throw. We've kind of just become desensitized to it at this point. But like I guess was there any part in your training and your approach to 2025 that looked different from years past where the championship meet was earlier?
Um, Not really. Kind of the heavy ball PRs, they come early. Their training PRs, they come early on because I'm throwing the heavy balls more. And then as the season goes on, I taper up a little bit. Most of the training PBs came before USA's, but I did happen to set one with the 675K. That was actually right before Lausanne Diamond League. So I guess they were pretty well spread throughout the season. Um, but I wouldn't say that they all came kind of at once. It was
Yeah.
just very well spread, just kind of a lack of executing in meets on my part.
hmm I guess this is something that I've never really heard anyone talk about, but like when you guys are going over to Europe, how many different shots do you bring with you? Because if we're was when you threw that 675 practice PB, was that over in Europe or was that still back in the US?
Yeah, that was in Europe. Usually when I travel, I know I'm going to be overseas for a long time, and
Hmm.
most of my European trips were 3 weeks this year. Um, I bring a wall shot and I bring my competition shot. So
That makes
two
sense.
shots, 2 bags, big pain in the butt to bring around, but just really good to have when I am on the road.
Yeah, definitely. I was wondering if you were a wall shot user, but I was like, do we give Tom free promo on this?
It's a pretty great tool. So
Yeah.
I'll admit most of the guys on the circuit do have one. Um,
It just seems way more convenient than
oh yeah,
actually
for
bringing
sure.
like 8 different shots.
For sure. Way more convenient, and it is nice having them all in the same diameter and the same feeling of shot that you can get used to.
Yeah. Um, so then, we talked a little bit about the injury. It was between the Diamond League final and that was Zurich this year. Between Zurich and Worlds, was it like something in practice? Was it coming out of the meet, or like where did that injury kind of rear its head?
It was my first practice at home after the final. So I just hopped off the plane, took the following day off from training, and then it was 2 days after I got home. Just while throwing, actually. I remember I had really bad technique on one throw, but I'm like, screw it, I'll just go for it anyway. And felt kind of a big, almost a pinch in my left oblique. And I took a couple more throws after. I'm like, oh, this is getting worse every throw. So I'm going to shut it down. And it ended up just feeling like crap the rest of that week. So that was my only training throw or that was actually my only practice that was at home before going over to Tokyo for throwing, I guess. I did lift 2 days after that. And it was really, the elbow thing was really strange because it felt fine after that practice. 2 days later, I lifted. And when I got home about an hour after I was finished lifting, started feeling weird nerve pain kind of shooting down my forearm into my hand, which I'd never had before. Didn't know what all that was about. It lasted for most of the day. And then the next day, the nerve pain was gone, but I was just incredibly sore in my elbow, where I just suddenly couldn't straighten my hand or straighten my whole arm out. There was a bend to it. And every time I tried, it hurt quite a lot. So with the oblique, I didn't think the elbow was going to be too much of an issue.
Hmm.
But with the oblique, I tried to just kind of do a lot of drilling while I was home. I didn't take any throws. By the time we got to Japan, I thought, I'll see the trainers. We got a little bit of time left. We'll make it work. But unfortunately, it just wasn't enough time. I was able to get a couple practices in Japan, but they were insanely easy, reserved, and held back because I didn't want to aggravate it. And it was hurting a lot while I was doing those practices. So come competition day, I thought, all right, I need to give it some juice and warm ups. Like I need to go for it. I can't just try to do it all on my first competition throw. And I remember my last warm up throw, I did go for it, and I felt both the elbow and the oblique uh, re-injure and get worse. And then I knew that the competition, like I tried to go for it and grit through the pain, but unfortunately, I could just feel it getting worse on every throw, and just couldn't find my way out of it, unfortunately.
When did you get to Tokyo?
What's that?
When did you get to Tokyo?
Exactly 1 week before the
Okay.
competition.
Gotcha. So I guess when you know you're going into like the biggest meet of the year, but you have two things working against you like that, I guess what was kind of the mindset like? Obviously, there was part of it where it's just do everything you can to feel as good as possible on competition morning, but like, how are you kind of keeping negative thoughts at bay, I guess, just not letting the bad circumstances consume you leading into worlds?
I was just trying to take it one day at a time. Hopefully, it would feel better every single day, and then come competition day, I can go for it. I only need to take a maximum of six, or I guess it would be nine competition throws, and then I get to rest as long as I want afterwards. So just kind of hoping that I can just be able to pull it together for nine throws was how I tried to do it, but it just wasn't in the cards.
Yeah. What before you picked up or before it kind of like flared up in warm-ups, like where you say your confidence level was at for being able to pull something out on that day?
It wasn't super high, but I was just hoping that, like it won't get worse and I can give it a decent go. Um, but after that one warm up throw, and like I couldn't even hit 20 meters in the warm up, and it was quite a lot of pain. I knew that it wasn't going to happen. Unfortunately, I tried to make something happen in at least the first throw, but my second and third throw, I was just in too much pain to really actually throw enough to make the final.
Yeah. And then, well, I guess one exciting thing about the 2025 season for you is it was your first full season sponsored by ASICS. How just significant has that been? Because it was you signed with them right after trials last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess with now a full year and a half or so of being part of the ASICS family, like it's something that unfortunately not enough throwers can say they have the privilege of being sponsored, but like how significant has that been for what you're able to do this year?
It's huge knowing that a brand is backing you and your performance uh, isn't all that matters. I mean, I know that performance does matter and it does matter to sponsors, but I mean, knowing that there's a guaranteed salary, even if I'm injured the whole year, there is going to be a little bit of money coming in. I do have someone backing me in case something goes wrong. That's huge. Because in years past, when I was unsponsored, it depended fully on how I do at meets. So I had to compete well to make money, and that was it's just a little bit more stress free knowing that someone's backing you like that, and you have better opportunities to make more money through bonuses as well. So ASICS has treated me super well. I'm super pleased with them. Love representing them and being, one of only three throwers represented by ASICS and their only shot putter. So I feel a little bit of pride there, and they've been great.
Yeah, that's with Val and Maddie, that's a pretty good family you're a part of. Um, and one thing that I did also kind of notice just doing some last minute like Instagram stalking before we hopped on the call is that I guess when you signed with ASICS, you had to switch shoe brands mid-season last year. Like, how big of a difference is there actually from one brand to another? And did you have was there any like adjustment period last summer that you needed to kind of switch into ASICS?
There isn't too much of a difference between, at least I've honestly only thrown in Nikes and Asics, so I haven't had a huge um, kind of library of shoes to pull from and experience. But they're not too different from the Nike ones. They fit a little bit different. The strap is a little bit thinner and higher, but I do think that the durability is a little bit better in the Asics shoes. I mean, I've yet to need to change shoes because they give me a competition pair that are in a certain color every season, and I don't need. And then I have my practice pair at home, and I've yet to like break a shoe or wear through the sole on the bottom of it. So to me, it seems like they're quite durable. I know that sometimes on the Nike shoes that I was throwing in, which I thought the Nike shoes were great too. I mean, they are the only shoe I ever threw in up till Asics. But I would notice that I would kind of tear through the mesh quite quickly.
Hmm.
on the tops. I never was really one to wear through the soles on the bottom. I know a lot of throwers do, but I just never really did. Um, but I do think that I would usually have to go through about two pairs of Nikes a season, but I mean, I've yet to have to change my Asics shoes yet.
And then with the Asics kit this year, which is, I think it's my favorite kit out of any of the brands. It just, this year was so clean. But you have the Ironwood patch on there too while you're competing. I guess knowing like what everything that TJ and those guys do for the sport, like I guess how significant is it to be able to rep both Asics and Ironwood in diamond leagues on the sport's biggest stage like that?
It's pretty cool. I'm glad that I'm able to have the flexibility to wear the patch and represent Ironwood. They've got such a history of throws, and it's one of my favorite places to compete in the U.S. is going to that Ironwood Classic meet every summer. Um, the throwing community is just so close, so that's always one of our favorites, and it's in such a beautiful part of the country that we're able to go out there. And this year, it worked out really well that it was the Ironwood Classic was a week before pre. So me and some of the other throwers, we stayed out there and trained and stayed in an Airbnb all together. And then, we'd train. And then after that, we'd go jump in the lake. And in the heat of summer, that was just awesome. That was a great little training camp. Um, but it's been great to represent them. Ironwood's treated me so well, and they were there and they asked to sponsor me, and asked if I'd be a part of their club right as I was done with Nike. So uh, just having them and being a part of that is pretty special.
Yeah, that training group I actually wanted to ask about because I remember like seeing the videos leading up to it. And, you broke 22 for the first time this season at Ironwood. And obviously that was kind of the meet that kick-started Chase's just the way the ridiculous kind of end of June, July, and August for her. Like knowing you, and then it was Maggie and Roger that were there too.
And Loggy, she was the only non-shot putter with us.
Oh, I forgot Loggy was there. I guess knowing you guys were building towards, such a big meet at pre, and then the excitement of seeing, because, you kind of hear through the grapevine that Chase is having these insane practice throws. Like, what was the energy like in that group leading up to, you talked about going and jumping in the lake and all the fun stuff kind of outside of the ring, but in those sessions, like, how much fun was that?
It's pretty good. I know that the girls sometimes get mad at Roger and I because we take a little bit more time between our throws than they do. They're very much like go, 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 throw, go get it, throw again, go get it. And so they're quick. So I know that they probably get a little irritated with Raj and I, but it is pretty cool. I mean, we're competitive. So like we're even competing with the girls. I know that one of those days, Chase and Roger had a throw off. I can't exactly remember who won. You probably have to ask one of them. But just the competition is high, and it's fun kind of just talking shop with them as well. Like, what are you working on? Or what do you see? What do you see in my throw? And it's good to bounce those ideas off of so many other great throwers.
Yeah, and I guess so now looking at the 2026 season, it is a different year because for the first time in 5 years, there's no major championship for shot putters, at least. But we do still have a world indoors, and you haven't done indoors since 2022. I didn't really realize it had been that long. I guess why haven't you done indoors the last couple years? And without an outdoor championship, is that something you might look into pursuing this upcoming winter, spring?
Yeah, as of right now, I'm planning to do indoors. Want to make a shot for indoor worlds. It's the only opportunity we have next year to wear the red, white, and blue. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to earn my spot on that team and be able to go to Poland and hopefully contend for a medal. In years past, I haven't done indoors because I kind of know myself well enough to know that I burn out a little bit easy. I don't do a ton of meets a year. I like to stay around, get 15, 16, 17 meets in, and that's good for me. And I start to burn out a little bit after that. But knowing that there isn't a major at the end of the year for us, I think that I can do indoors, try to earn a medal at Indoor Worlds, make that team, um, and still have enough juice for the rest of the outdoor season because I don't really have to peak for anything, but hopefully the Diamond League final. So I think it would be fun to be able to do indoors again for the first time in a while.
Yeah, how do you kind of look at this outdoor season? Because like does the Diamond League final become like a global championship just with I guess slightly lower stakes or and we have heard talk about what the WSPS might look like this year, but we don't know exactly what that's going to be. Like how are you kind of approaching goal setting for obviously the indoor season has a clear finish, but like outdoors, how are you kind of approaching what you hope 2026 looks like?
Yeah, I mean, the Diamond Leagues are going to be the most important meets for us next year. The final is going to be the single most important meet for us. So I think that also I will try to compete a little bit more this year outdoors, try to do a little bit more meets, try to earn some extra money since we just won't really have that big opportunity at the end of the year. But I don't know. It is kind of nice knowing that the stakes are lower this year. You can peak for that. I don't necessarily have to peak for U.S. champs. I still probably will a little bit, but it's not like a do or die U.S. champs
Yeah.
where you got to throw 22, 28 to even make a team like we did this past year. So it's nice that we don't have to deal with that nonsense. So I think that there are a little bit lower stakes this year. It might feel like indoors is a little bit more competitive this year because only two of us can make that indoor world team. Although I hear that there is an opportunity for a third American if should an American win the indoor tour
Mm.
for men's shot, you'd get an automatic berth to worlds. So we could see three men's shot putters potentially should an American win that.
Yeah, but I feel like we don't really see you guys go to Europe that much during the indoor season. So I guess if there's an extra spot on the line, maybe that'll
You won't see me doing it. I'm just gonna do U.S. champs
someone
and
else has got to
hopefully
go open
worlds.
the
But
spot because
someone might do it. There's a spot to be earned.
yeah. I mean, and when you were talking about the Diamond League final and how like that's going to be the biggest meet of the outdoor season, it made me so grateful that there's only going to be six guys in that meet. Like it's such a great way to structure such a big
Yeah,
meet by only having six
yeah,
entries.
yeah. The opportunities are slim for us, but we'll still make our best of what we can out of the situation.
Yeah. Is there some aspect of with five consecutive major championship years for the first time ever, is there some aspect of kind of burnout at the end of this season where it is every season has pressure and like you said, like that thing where you guys have to peak twice for USA's and then also for Worlds. Like is it kind of a welcome down year for you?
I mean, just in that sense, yeah. I'll be honest. I don't. I'd be happy if there was a major. I wish that we could compete at the Ultimate Athletics Championships, but I know that some athletes do just really look forward to that off year where there isn't a major. I don't think I'm really one of them, but it is what it is. So I'll try to be as competitive as possible, and my mindset won't change too much. Besides not having to, stress about U.S. champs as much.
There's one interesting thing that I picked up in the mix zone after Worlds that I've been wanting to ask you about for a while now. Ryan said he's moving to Nashville now and Roger's coming with him. And he said, you're joining the training group. Are you also moving to Nashville? Or are you kind of going to be working with them remotely? Like what's that setup going to look like for you in 2026?
Yeah, we are going to move to Nashville, but we're not going to move till after the indoor season, just to really focus on this. And we have kind of a busy fall with my brother's wedding and all that traveling that we had to do, and then I have my own wedding actually coming up in January. So I'm already legally married, but we're finally having our
Uh-huh.
actual wedding celebration. That'll be in Cancun in January. So just with all of those things going on, it'll be a little bit better to stay where we are for now and then move after.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the official wedding. Um,
Thank you.
I mean, I guess, have you been with Justin consecutively since when did you get to North Dakota State? Like 2015,
Yeah,
2016?
yeah. 2015, I've only ever worked with him as a coach, and that's going to continue. It'll just be a
Okay.
little bit more of a remote thing. Like Ryan's not going to be my coach. It's
Okay.
just at this point in my career, we're kind of wanting to get a little bit more. I think I get a little bit more out of a training group, especially with like-minded individuals, and I think we're just ready for something new to give it a try. And Ryan and I are good friends, so it'll be fun to share in his outdoors hobbies. I'm also a big fisherman, so I think we're just ready for a change after having been in Lincoln now for almost 5 years.
Do you know if Roger's a big fisherman or not?
He
He's gonna be, I
fishes,
think, soon
he
enough.
fishes, but I don't know if he's as into it as Ryan is. I don't
Okay.
know if many people are into it as much as Ryan is.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess what excites you most about the opportunity to, like you said, like you guys are good friends, you're on the circuit together a lot. I'm pretty sure I've seen some things where you've gone down to Arkansas for like little kind of camps with him, I guess, if you want to call it that. But like, what excites you most about being able to day in and day out train with the greatest to ever do it?
I mean, just he might not be coaching me, but that doesn't mean I can't learn from him by
Hmm.
just seeing all the things that he does and his mentality when it comes to training. And he's a very competitive person, for sure more competitive than me. So there's a lot of competing even outside of just shot put training. So he's competitive in the weight room about putting up the highest speed on the bar, or he's got all these little things to do around his house. Like he's got axe throwing, and there is going to be a pool table and a ping pong table, so expect that to be on the YouTube once we're all down there.
Oh,
But
I can't
it's
wait.
competitive in just so many different areas. I know I'll be investing in a dartboard for the place for sure because I'm a big fan of darts, but we're competitive and more than just shot put, and that makes it fun. It's a fun atmosphere to be in.
I know you mentioned the bar speed, and I got to talk to Ryan last year after Paris, and we talked a little bit about how he uses that kind of velocity-based training metrics a lot. Is that something you do a lot in your strength training as well?
No, because I don't really have access to one, and
Okay.
I don't know what to do with the data. Like, yeah, that okay, I moved it faster this week, but what does that mean? Where do I go from here? If
Yeah.
I knew how to program for it and make use out of it, I'm sure that I would, but I haven't even looked into it really because I don't do too much of my own programming. So it'd be fun. I mean, it'll be maybe something that we look into once we're in Nashville. We'll see.
Yeah. When you're looking at like this point in your career, when you're thinking about improvement, I know you talked about athleticism was kind of a focus of the last couple weeks for you, but is there anything technically that you think is really an area you still have a lot to gain?
For sure. I mean, I think my technique is okay. It's consistent, but I think that I can still reach some new spots in finding connection with the shot put and getting separation between my lower body and upper body. One thing I don't want to say hate, but is glaring to me in my throw is my right foot in the middle. A lot of these other shot putters, they work the ground so well. The right foot barely comes off the ground at all. And then you have me basically jumping at the finish. My right foot comes like a foot off the ground. So I definitely could work the ground a lot more in the finish. My left arm is also essentially useless in the finish. I don't block with it at all. So there's always things to do. I think I could come out of the back a little bit better, and who knows, maybe play around with the different wind and start. I know everybody's starting all over the place in the back of the circle these days, but maybe I can look into doing that.
Has there been anything in the back of the circle that you've like experimented with even like once or twice in practice?
I've tried the slide, but it's not for me.
That's fair. I guess so kind of the last question I have for you, it's good that we're doing this the day we are because yesterday we got a big announcement with the schedule for the 2028 Olympics. And once again, we have a same day final for shot put. There's 2.5 years. Maybe they'll listen to us and they'll change it. But for your perspective, I mean, when you had the same day final in 2023, you handled it pretty well. 21:54 in the morning, 21:86 in the evening, and fifth in the world. But for those of us who will never be at the level of getting the chance to be screwed over by world athletics in this way, what are the challenges that come with qualifying in the morning, final the same night?
It's for sure quite the ordeal. I mean, I know that some of the competitors have like over 30,000 steps in the day after the prelim final and more. But I don't know. It's annoying for sure, but it's not something that I totally hate. I mean, apart from this year where I was injured and
Yeah.
couldn't really experience the full same day final. I'd like to think that if I was healthy, I would have been able to. But the other two times that I've done it in Budapest and in the trials in 21,
Mm.
I've handled it pretty decently. And I think that it affects other throwers maybe more than me. So I don't hate it for that reason. I think that it can pull down a lot of other competitors, and I think I've handled it decently in the past. I don't think it's great for performance for sure. I mean, if you want high end performance, I think that it either has to be back to back days or even one day in between a full rest day if you want to see some really big throws in the final. But it's kind of just it's World Athletics kind of designs these competitions to see who can handle all of all of what is being thrown at them the best. So usually it's whoever can adapt the best is who can throw well and do well at the majors. Um, so that's kind of how it's going to be from the sounds of it with this current schedule. We don't love it, but it is what it is. Whoever can rise above it the most that day is the one who's going to be the world champ. So, or I guess the Olympic champ in the case of 28.
Yeah, I think the best way to do it is just look at whatever they did in Doha and just do that exact setup every single year because that worked pretty well.
I don't even remember what it was because I wasn't there. But Was it back to back days or was there a day of rest in between?
I'm not certain. I didn't start paying attention to track until the Olympics in 2021. So I feel like though I should know every single fact about that final anyways, but I'm embarrassed that I don't.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. But yeah, whatever they did there is definitely good for performance. So if you want to see big throws, do that.
Definitely. All right. Well, Peyton, thank you so much for taking some time to chat tonight. Best of luck as you kind of start getting back into throwing, and we'll hope that elbow keeps cooperating with you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm sure we'll see you at some meet down the road in the mix zone, I'm sure.
I hope so.